The following video contains story-related spoilers for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. This is your last chance to turn back. You've been warned. How's it going, everyone? Blueknight here, and welcome back to another Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart video. So from the moment we'd learned that Dr. Nefarious would be returning as the main villain of Rift Apart, and that the game would serve as a continuation of Into the Nexus from the main series, a lot of us in the community, including myself, started to wonder about his character development from All For One, and how that would be handled in this game. Well, spoiler alert, Rift Apart doesn't really touch upon this in any way. Maybe a tiny bit, but if anything, it was very subtle, which I'll be getting into a bit later on in the video. But for those of you who are not familiar with All For One, and also for anyone that's new to the channel, here's a quick summary with what happened with Nefarious in All For One. Nefarious wound up being captured by the Ephemeris alongside Ratchet, Clank, and Quark, and then they wound up on planet Magnus. Nefarious started to have a change of heart, and how he views the heroes close to the end of their adventure together. Now, in the 3 scenes I'm about to show you guys, these are where we can see the character arc for Nefarious start to form.
Oh, this is it. The end of President Captain Quark. I can feel death's icy grip. Nefarious, I'm sorry I pushed you around in high school. You were smart and I was such a
moron.
I was gonna say Adonis, but if you want to be a jerk about it.
I'm sorry too. You should know that even as I was wishing the Blarg would tear you apart limb from limb so I could river dance around your smoldering, squishy carcass, I still considered you a friend.
An intergalactic Tool of Justice award.
If you fellas are done, I'm gonna need that wrench back.
The Polaris Defense Force has set up a perimeter outside the Vartan Nebula, so we'll have to take the Corvus exit until there's a change in patrols. I did manage to restock your dark matter missile array, so if you'd like, we can make a quick stop and retrieve it.
Now, a question that's sure to come to mind when seeing these clips, then seeing Nefarious's dislike towards the duo in Rift Apart, is why did he decide to be evil again? Do keep in mind, before the launch of the game, during GameInformer's interview with Marcus Smith, the creative director of Rift Apart, it's mentioned that some shortcuts were used in the story. This was done so that anyone that's new to the series can have a general idea as to who these characters are right out of the gate without needing to play any of the previous games in the series. Meanwhile, us longtime fans, we would already be up to speed with what's happened in the series up until this point, with the exception of any events that happened between All For One, Full Frontal Assault, Into the Nexus, and Rift Apart. All we know is that years have passed since the events of Into the Nexus. Ratchet confirmed this in the game's opening cutscene.
Don't you think it's weird to throw a celebration for us? I mean, we haven't done anything heroic in years.
And just a few minutes later, after Goons for Less start attacking the parade, the duo find out somebody put a bounty on them, and then there's another interesting bit of dialogue between Ratchet and Clank.
I would bet the Blogs are behind this, or the Cragmites, or, Dr. Nefarious.
Ha! No way! Nefarious has been retired longer than we have!
Notice Ratchet said that Nefarious has been in retirement longer than we have. This is referencing the fact that Nefarious hasn't been seen since the events of All For One, which is believed to have taken place about 2 years before Into the Nexus, with his retirement being described as long but restless. So what exactly was he up to in all the years between All For One and Rift Apart? Well, the obvious things are that Lawrence finally repaired his dome crack, but we can still see a scar from that. Do robots get scars? I don't know. His malfunctioning problem also seemed to have been fixed, because no matter how furious he got in Rift Apart, he never malfunctioned once.
Bring me that lumber!
That was something I did miss in the overall story compared to past games, but it didn't take away from how much I enjoyed Nefarious. He's still a great character. But let's say that in the 2 years between All for One and Into the Nexus, Nefarious was struggling with his newfound feeling of friendship towards Ratchet Clank and Quark, while still wanting to be evil. But then Into the Nexus happens, he learns about the Dimensionator and how it can access other dimensions due to what happened with the Nether invasion. This is probably where he thought that there was another alternate reality out there somewhere where he always wins, thus tipping the scale back to his evil side, basically throwing friendship out the window. And when Clank starts repairing the Dimensionator sometime afterward, I'd imagine Nefarious was spying on his progress for at least a couple of years to gather the information needed in order to find this dimension, because later on in the game, he said that it took him years just to figure out the coordinates for Rivet's dimension. How else would he have known to find it? And by the way, how did Clank even rebuild the Dimensionator without Ratchet even knowing? Because the two go pretty much everywhere together, so you'd think that'd be a little difficult to keep a secret. But anyways, Rift Apart happens, he takes the place of the Emperor, he's excited that he feels like he's won, the real Emperor shows up and ultimately attempts to take over the Doctor's home dimension, but the way he behaves in this scene, yeah, I get that it's his dimension at risk, and he thinks that he should be the only one to rule it, not anyone else, as we can hear during the final boss.
Lacking artistry, imagination, elegance. This is my dimension!
But the look on his face right here, it's like he knows Ratchet and Clank are watching and is practically begging for their help. At least, that's the impression I'm getting. Fast forward to the very end when Emperor Nefarious is defeated.
Please, we can win this together!
What do you know about winning?
Now, if anything, this is where I can see some of All for One shine through, because Nefarious basically dealt the final blow to the villains in both games, but the intentions were completely different on Nefarious's part. In All for One, it was to protect his newfound friends, which even Ratchet was very surprised by. In Rift Apart, it was to make him the only Nefarious in this dimension again. Now I get that this was done as to not confuse any newcomers who haven't played any of the other games like All for One, but as a longtime fan, this is pretty much the only aspect of Rift Apart's story that I'm really disappointed by, because I was kinda hoping to see where they were going to take his character development from that point in All for One with Rift Apart. But even though this character arc didn't get explored further, I still really enjoyed Rift Apart's story, as it's easily one of the best stories in the series, if not the best. Now maybe they'll bring that part of his character back for the sequel, but in the meantime, we didn't get much of anything on that front with Rift Apart. So with that said guys, that's all I've really got for this video. But I'm curious to see what you guys think concerning the matter of Nefarious's character arc down in the comment section below. Also be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell for more Ratchet & Clank related content coming soon. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching and the constant support. I've been Blueknight, and I'll see you guys back here next time.